What's up, guys? We are back with Friday college football action here on November 15th. We're breaking down 13 games on this crowded slate. We'll be looking at leans against the spread and on the over-under here in the early stages of the college basketball season, so let's get after it. If you want to win all of your Friday bets, hit that like button. It's good luck and really helps the video get promoted out there. And hell, guys, it just feels good to see that little number on the screen go up by 1. Obviously, I would love if you would subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and if you're really a big-time supporter, you can sign up for a channel membership to get early access to all of my NFL and college football videos, and you also get your name up on screen in every video, just like right now. I really appreciate everyone watching this video, and big shout out to the channel members. All of our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and check out our whole team of professional cappers who are putting in the work every single day, covering all the major sports with the NFL, college football, NCAA basketball, NBA, UFC, and the NHL. All going on right now. It's a great time to sign up for maximum bang for your buck. You can also sign up for our free email list to get the daily free and sometimes premium pick straight to your inbox. Let me know in the comments any bets you're looking at today, and I will give you my best advice on all of them. I personally respond to every single comment every day, and I'm more than happy to get back to you. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Virginia Cavaliers taking on the Villanova Wildcats in the Hall of Fame series. Virginia, guys, they come into this game 2-0 on the season, so off to a good but expected start. They haven't really played anybody that tough. The Cavaliers came into the season projected to finish around 50th nationally and picked to finish up 8th in the ACC. So not a team with a ton of hype. They had some weird coaching stuff going on. A coaching change pretty late in the season. Basically another one of those long tenured head coaches that can't stand the NIL situation. So he was more than ready to jump ship. We'll see what the Cavaliers can do here. I mean, obviously, a win over a team like Coppin State, really not going to get me going too much. They have scored over 60 points in each of their first 2 games, so I guess that's something. But historically, this is a team that focuses on defense first and pretty much defense only. So, yeah, we'll see if they're able to start producing some offense here. Is that, that has not led to a ton of success for them. I mean, they've had success, don't get me wrong. But they've also had some huge letdown performances in their win over Coppin State, who's 0-4, by the way. Not a good team. We did see decent three-point shooting, 9 of 27 from deep. They, won the battle of the boards by 9. They did a good job taking care of the ball, but they actually had more turnovers there than Coppin State. So we'll see what they're able to do here. Not a bench that I was in love with. Just not a team that really showed me a ton there in that win, but they haven't really been tested. Maybe they're not all the way locked in yet. So we're going to see what they do here going, not really on the road like this is a neutral site game, but playing against the Villanova Wildcats, who are now 2-2 on the season. They had a loss against Columbia. They had a loss at St. Joe's their last time out, losing that one 83-76. Villanova straight up not having a good time right now. I think it's very clear this team is off to a bad start. Not loving the direction that this program in general is pointed, guys. In that loss against St. Joseph's, not a great look, guys. They got just decimated there in the second half. Just not a very good day out there. I mean, they lost this game despite shooting 35% from the three-point line. That's not terrible. They out-rebounded St. Joe's by a ton, by 11 in the game. The problem was they had 16 turnovers. They only forced 10. They weren't able to get to the free throw line really well. And yeah, we just only really had one prolific scorer. Eric Dixon put up 24 points. Brickus put up 22. I don't know, just not a great day out there, and the bench is just a black hole. No production coming from that Villanova bench. So looking at the trends so far, UVA, they are 0-2 against the spread this season. Villanova 1-3 against the spread. The Wildcats are -3.5, so they're favorites in this game. We've got an over/under of 129.5 out there. Guys, I'm looking at taking Virginia and the points in this spot. I think they can keep this to like a 1-possession game. They're going to play great defense. Villanova has not impressed me at all this season. They're looking way worse than their preseason projections, and obviously you go through some sort of huge dynamic shift there in your program, you're not going to see a lot of good things. So definitely liking Virginia here and the points in this one. In terms of that over/under of 129.5, probably looking slightly towards the over, but definitely my favorite pick in this one is going to be the Cavaliers and the points. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Florida Gators. They're going on the road, technically, here to take on the Florida Seminoles in a pretty interesting showdown between 2 in-state rivals here. This is going to be played in Tallahassee, so technically it is a home game for Florida State. We'll see what goes on there. Florida, they come into this one 3-0 on the season. They haven't faced a lot of tough competition. They did have that, opening night game against USF that they handled comfortably, winning by 15 points, 98-83. So a very high-scoring game, but yeah, just very good stuff from the Gators. Gators here. They came into the season projected around 20th in the nation, and they have held on to that. The experts picked them to finish around 4th in the SEC, and that does not seem crazy to me at all, even in a very good SEC conference. In their last win, guys, they had an easy one against Grambling. They won that one 86-62. We saw pretty good stuff there from Florida. They cleared the bench. Everybody got a little bit of playing time, not a ton. They shot 30% from three-point range, so not nuts, but they dominated on the boards. That's what you want to see from teams that have a big athletic and size advantage in those matchups. And yeah, just overall a very nice game. 4 out of 5 starters scored in double figures. They had a couple of nice production type of nights from the bench. So liked what we saw there from the Florida Gators. We'll see what they can do here playing in-state rival, the Florida State Seminoles, who come into this game 3-0 on the season. They have yet to be tested, though, guys. Probably their toughest opponent they've played this season so far was Rice. Florida State projected to be around 110th or something like that nationally, picked to finish around 17th in the ACC. So not a team that's expected to be very good this year, but we'll see what they can do. They did get the 72-52 win there over Tarleton State. Not exactly a power conference kind of team, but it was a good game there from the Seminoles. Got to give them a little bit of credit. They didn't shoot the ball very well from 3, only 19% from long range. They got to the line a ton, though. 38 free throw attempts. That'll help a lot. They dominated on the boards against, a less physically gifted team, and they did commit 25 fouls, which feels a little bit iffy, and they had 17 turnovers against, a pretty bad opponent. So definitely room for improvement there for the Seminoles. And looking at the trends for this game, Florida, they're 1-2 against the spread. Florida State, 2-1 against the spread. We see Florida State getting 4.5 points here at home. We've got an over-under of 158.5. Guys, I definitely like number 20 Florida here to get the win and cover in this game. They've only got to win by 5. They seem like the far, far better team. I know things get a little bit weird in these pseudo rivalry games or whatever, but I think this is a spot we definitely want to be riding with the Gators. I think they'll have a pretty good time in this game against, a Florida State team that's being a little bit overvalued just based on their record that they've, achieved against some really, really weak competition. In terms of that over-under of 158.5, not a huge lean on that one. I would probably take, a little bit of a look there at the over, but generally speaking, this is just a spot you want to be on the Florida Gators. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. This is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering NFL, college football, NBA, NHL, UFC, and NCAA basketball. It's been one of our most profitable sports over the years. We make things extremely easy for you with pick notifications directly to your phone and unit sizes assigned to each play so you can see where our confidence level is on every individual matchup. To test out the service before you buy, join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new. And also, if you want to experience peer-to-peer sports betting while paying almost zero juice, click the link in the description and sign up at betopenly.com. Best peer-to-peer betting site out there. Now, guys, back to the games. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the TCU Horned Frogs. They're going on the road here to take on the Michigan Wolverines. Guys, in this game, it's going to be playing in Ann Arbor, so it's definitely a home game for Michigan. TCU comes into this one 3-0 on the season. They haven't faced the toughest schedule. A win against Texas State their last time out was a very, very close one. Like I said, guys, those in-state rivalry games can be a little bit sketchy, but TCU, they found a way in the end in that game. In large part to the starters just pretty much playing well across the board, guys. 4 out of 5 starters finished in double figures. The one that didn't put up 10 rebounds in the win. We saw some pretty good assist numbers out there. Generally speaking, we loved how TCU shot the ball too. They're pretty selective with their threes. They don't shoot a ton, but they made 5 out of 14 of them, so nothing wrong with that. The free throw shooting was a big problem. Could have almost cost them in that game. They only made 46.9% of their free throws. 15 of 32 from the free throw line, not great, but they did dominate on the boards in that game, so that's a good sign. And just overall, a pretty decent game there against a Texas State team that, is now 2-1 in the season. I'm not saying they're like a great team or anything like that, but, an in-state rivalry game, things can get a little bit froggy. So we'll see how they do going on the road here to take on the Michigan Wolverines, who come into this game, guys. They're only 1-1 on the season. They lost 72-70 against Wake Forest in their last game. They've had plenty of time to recover from that, so they should be, very much ready to go for this one. Michigan, they were ranked, projected to be about 40th nationally, picked to finish 10th there in the Big Ten. So we'll see if any of that comes true in their loss against Wake Forest. A pretty good opponent there, definitely a solid opponent opponent to be playing, your first, big test against. The Wolverines did okay. I mean, they shot 30% from 3-point range, 10 of 33, not terrible there. They kept things even on the boards. They kind of played sort of a deep rotation, which is a little bit concerning. We didn't see any one guy really go nuts out there, so that's another thing that's a little bit problematic for me. I just don't know who I love on this team. They only shot 15 free throws in the game. It wasn't a ton of free throws shot in that game, but yeah, just overall, not an amazing. I mean, they got, beat out in the second half. They're losing the second half by 6 points. That was the difference in the game. We'll see if they can bounce back here a little bit, but not really in love with either one of these teams, guys. So looking at the numbers, we see Michigan, there's minus 6.5, so 6.5 point favorites here playing at home. We've got an over-under of 150.5. TCU 1-2 against the spread. Michigan 1-1 against the spread. Guys, I'm leaning towards TCU and the points here on the road. I think these are two mediocre teams, or at least that's how they're playing right now. We'll see what things look like down the road, but definitely go ahead and give me TCU and the points in this spot. And in terms of the over-under, I would lean slightly towards the under in this game, but not an over-under spot that I'm interested in. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at one of the marquee games of the night. We've got number 2 Alabama taking on number 13 Purdue, guys. They're in Lafayette, Indiana. It's going to be a pretty exciting game. Two big name teams going at it here in the early portion of the season. It is a real home game there for Purdue, so definitely gives them a little bit of an advantage. Alabama, they come into this game obviously ranked number 2 in the nation, projected to be one of the top teams out there, picked to finish first by a lot of experts there in the SEC. They've gotten off to a good start. They handled a pretty good McNeese team, although it was only an 8-point game, like a close game down the stretch. McNeese, a very good team, guys. They got past Arkansas State. It's not like Alabama's played a bunch of cupcake teams here to start the season. Not obviously the toughest opponents out there, but not the worst. A far cry from the worst. So yeah, the Crimson Tide coming to this one, I'm not quite going to say battle tested, but in that game against McNeese, like I said, an 8-point win. So, things were relatively close there down the stretch. They did jump out to 11-point halftime lead, but man, things did tighten up in that game in the second half. We saw Alabama shoot the ball relatively well from deep. Not really what I think they're capable of, though. I think they can do better than their 11 of 34 performance. They only shot 44% from the field in general. Things were even on the boards, which is something of a concern. They also had 15 turnovers. McNeese only turned the ball over 13 times. And yeah, the Crimson Tide really got the benefit of the whistle there. They shot 24 free throws. McNeese only shot 11. So it could be a little bit tough for Alabama here having to go on the road. And it's not like they're going on the road to play in a very friendly environment, guys. Purdue can be a tough place to play. The Boilermakers 13th in the nation right now. That's about where they were projected to be, and they were picked to win the Big Ten this season. So we'll see if that comes true. They haven't played the toughest schedule, a win over NKU, and then their last time out, a 92-84 win there over Yale. So, polishing off some pretty easy wins there, but I'm not going to say, this is not obviously not a bad Purdue team, but I don't know how tested they've really been, guys. In that game against Yale, they won largely thanks to their 3-point shooting, guys. They shot 11 of 23 from deep. That's almost 50% from 3-point range. They also shot 32 free throws in that game. They kept things even on the boards. We saw Braden Smith have a big night, 22 points from him. We saw CJ Cox look very good off the bench despite going 0-2 from 3. So definitely reason for positives here, reason for optimism here for Purdue, but this is about to be a whole different deal taking on a team like Alabama that's been pretty battle tested here. So looking at the numbers, Purdue getting 2.5 points at home. We've got an over-under of 164.5. Alabama 1-2 against the spread. Purdue also 1-2 against the spread this season. Guys, I'm leaning here towards number 2 Alabama. They've only got to win this game by 3 for us to get our pick right, and I generally think, they're the more battle-tested team. They're probably going to be the better team over the course of the season. I do worry a little bit about the fact they're playing this game on the road, but it's early in the season. Maybe things won't be too nuts there at Purdue, but I kind of think they will be. So yeah, overall, I think this is a spot you want to be on the Alabama side. In terms of that over-under of 164.5, guys, I'm actually leaning a bit here towards the under. I don't think we're going to see that much offense in this game. Both teams like to shoot it, though, so it's not impossible, but I would be leaning slightly towards the under. I think this is a game that ends more in, like the 75 to 80 range, something in there, probably not in the mid-80s like this line would suggest. Regardless, my more confident lean in this one is the Alabama Crimson Tide -2.5. Moving right along, guys, we are looking at the Florida Atlantic Owls. They're going on the road to take on the Charleston Cougars. The Owls come into this game, guys. They are playing decent here to start the season. They did just take a 100-94 loss there against UCF, so a tough loss there in a hell of a game. But yeah, Florida Atlantic coming out there a little bit on the short end. The Owls were projected to finish somewhere around, to be somewhere around 95th nationally. They were picked to finish third in the AAC. They just couldn't get the job done there against UCF. A tough opponent, don't get me wrong. The Owls shot 41.2% from three-point range. They were making their shots. They did get out-rebounded by a significant margin. They had 10 blocks in the game, which is nice to see. But yeah, just couldn't quite get it over the top there at the end. I mean, we saw good stuff from Leland Walker. He had 20 points. We saw Caleb Glenn score 17 points coming off the bench. They just couldn't quite get over the top there in the end. And obviously a very, very high-scoring game against UCF. So we'll be seeing what they can do here going on the road to take on the Charleston Cougars, who are 2-0 on the season with a couple of very solid wins, guys. They got a win, a 90-80 win there over SIU, which looks to be a little bit more spunky of a team than people would have thought. And yeah, they got the nice win there over USF, winning that one 86-71. So not even a very close game. Charleston, they were projected around 115th nationally, but still picked to finish first there in the CAA. So we'll see what comes of those projections. But right now, Charleston looking pretty good to me, guys. In that win over USF, they were pretty dominant. I mean, winning by 15, no small feat. They shot the ball pretty mediocre from three-point range, only 6 of 21 from deep, but they won the rebounding battle. They shot 45% from the field. That's not bad. They had 16 turnovers, which isn't amazing, but yeah, really, guys, we just saw some dominant stuff out there from the star players there for Charleston. So we'll see if they can keep that rolling here. They're 2-point favorites in this game. We've got an over-under of 164.5. FAU 1-1 against the spread. Charleston, they are 2-0 against the spread this season. Guys, I like the over in this game a lot. Over 164.5. That's probably my favorite lean. In terms of the side, honestly, there's going to be a lot of high variance three-point shooting in this game, so I could see it going either way, but my lean on the side is going to be Charleston -2, but I really think the value in this one is that over 164.5. Running here through these games, guys, we've got the Belmont Bruins. They're going on the road to take on the Air Force Falcons. Belmont comes into this game 2-1 on the season, fresh off a 1-point win there at Lipscomb. So a nice win there. They took their only loss of the season was a 2-point loss against Furman. So yeah, that was a tough loss, but hey, Belmont, not a team that was highly projected. Picked somewhere around 160th nationally and to finish 7th there in the MVC. So we'll see if that comes true. But their win over Lipscomb, I mean, not like Lipscomb's an amazing team. They're 2-2 on the season, but Belmont got the job done by only a single point there in the end. They shot almost 40% from three-point range. They only shot 6 free throws in that game. There was only 14 free throws taken in that game. Pretty crazy stuff. A pretty physical game out there. Belmont 41 rebounds against only 27 rebounds there for Lipscomb. So yeah, probably should have been an easier win there for Belmont, to be honest. But we'll see what they can do in this game, guys. Like pretty good three-point shooting there for Belmont. Got to give them credit there. We'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on Air Force, who's only 1-2 on the season. They lost against UNA in their first game of the year. JV State, they won that one 73-67, but they just lost there against LIU. Not really a team you're supposed to be losing games against if you want to be, have any respect there in the Mountain West Conference. Air Force, they lost that game by 9 points. I mean, the Sharks really took it to them, the Long Island University Sharks. Yeah, not a great look from Air Force. They only shot 4 of 20 from long range. They got to the line 28 times against 19 times for Long Island. Still couldn't get the win. They got destroyed on the boards. This Air Force team just not really looking that hot to me, guys. So one of my favorite plays of the day, I mean, looking at this, the numbers for this game, Air Force, just for the record, guys, they were projected around 265th nationally, picked to finish 11th there in the Mountain West. I love the Belmont Bruins here at -2.5. We got an over-under of 142. Both teams not showing amazing against the spread trends, but I think Belmont's in a great spot in this game. I think they're going to shoot the lights out against Air Force. I don't care that this game is, not taking place on Belmont's home court. It's in Colorado Springs. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. Belmont going to go in there and get a nice win and cover. They've only got to win this game by 3. I think the Bruins really get the job done here in a meaningful way. Next on the docket, guys, we are looking at the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. They're going on the road to take on the Princeton Tigers there. So a pretty interesting game here, happening in Princeton, New Jersey. Loyola 3-0 on the season, off to a very good start, despite being picked around 75th nationally and to finish 3rd there in the Atlantic 10. We saw them get a blowout win in their last one, pretty much a cupcake game there against Eureka, but other than that, guys, it's not like they face the toughest schedule, but they're finding ways to win. They got a nice win there against Detroit Mercy. They got another nice win there over Chicago State, and they are just cruising now here in the early goings. Obviously, not going to dive too deep into the stats of any of these games. It's not like they've been doing anything, too crazy against these terrible teams. But Jaden Dawson off to a very, very good start to his season. He's shooting 44% from the field, putting up nearly 17 points per game. He is cruising right now, and I'm expecting good things here from the Ramblers, honestly. I think they're an underrated team here coming into this season. So we'll see what they can do going on the road to take on Princeton. The Tigers are 3-0 this season. They got a 1-point win over Iona to start their year off. So yeah, very, very close stuff there. But then, following that up with a nice win there over Duquesne. Last time out, they got a nice 79-76 win over Northeastern. Obviously, a very, very close game there over, a Northeastern team that's not one that I really had on my radar too much coming into this season. So maybe time to be a little bit worried here for Princeton, guys. We did see Dallin Davis put up 25 points in that win. They shot almost 40% from three-point range. They got 22 free throws in that game. Their opponent only shot 10. So yeah, I don't know how high we should really be on Princeton right now. I mean, they did manage to lose the rebounding battle there to the Northeastern Huskies. Not a good sign when you're about to take on a real opponent here in the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. So we'll see what happens. Princeton projected around 80th nationally, picked to win the Ivy League. Loyola Chicago, they're 0-2 against the spread. Princeton 1-2 against the spread. Guys, I think this is where Loyola Chicago gets their first against the spread win of the season. They're getting 3 points here playing on the road. Give me the Ramblers here. I think they're in a great spot to possibly even win this game. You could look at the money line. I would have no problem with that. Definitely give me the Ramblers in this one. I think they're probably the better team straight up. What I'm seeing from Princeton right now, not really that impressive. Next on the docket, guys, we are looking at the SMU Mustangs. They're going on the road here to take on the Butler Bulldogs. SMU comes into this game, guys. They are still undefeated on the season, so could not have asked for much better of a start. They just got a blowout win though there over UNC Greensboro, so not going to be writing home about that. Really not going to be writing home about any of their wins so far, but they've been handling business very comfortably, earning blowout wins against teams that they are supposed to blow out. So in their last game there against UNC Greensboro, guys, an 81-68 win. We saw pretty decent stuff there. I mean, they did shoot a considerable amount more free throws, but they also got a 41-39 win on the board, so that'll work. And yeah, they only turned the ball over 11 times in the game. That's all pretty nice stuff. They didn't shoot the ball great, obviously only 6 of 23 there from distance, but this is an SMU team that's definitely capable of looking a little bit better than that from long range. I'm expecting this to be a pretty good offensive team, no doubt about that, and we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on Butler, who's 2-1 on the season. They got a close win there over Missouri State to start their season. They lost, guys, against Austin Peay, so that's not an amazing look. And then against VMU, Western Michigan there, they, didn't have too much trouble. They won that game by 20 points. So, yeah, a nice win there for Butler, but they're not having a great time, guys. They were projected around 50th nationally, picked to finish 7th in the Big East. That is not what I am seeing from this Bulldogs team here in the early goings. I mean, yeah, they got a 20-point win over the Western Michigan Broncos, but I'm not going to write home about that. They got that win thanks in large part to shooting the lights out from deep. Not something I'm convinced they're going to be able to do consistently this season. They also, lost the rebounding battle there to a very, mediocre team. So I have a lot of questions here about the Butler Bulldogs. Like, their season not off to the greatest start, just not feeling it here with this roster. So we'll see if they can bounce back, but this is not an easy bounce back spot for a team that is not really living up to its preseason projections. Both of these teams are 1-2 against the spread. We see Butler, they are 1.5 point favorites playing at home. We've got an over-under of 154.5. Obviously, playing at Butler is not an easy thing to do, guys, but I think this is a spot to be leaning towards the SMU Mustangs. I think they can, getting a 1.5 there, obviously not a huge deal. You could take them on the money line if you wanted, but I think this is a game they could very easily end up winning. So, yeah, definitely interested in SMU here, but I'm also interested in the over in this game. We've got a total here of 154.5. I think the over is actually my favorite play on this game in general. I think we'll see plenty of offense. Both these teams love to shoot it, love to get up and down, so definitely leaning here a bit towards that over 154.5. It's got a real chance to end up in the pinned comment. In another game here in the Hall of Fame series, guys, going on in there in Baltimore, Maryland, we have the Virginia Tech Hokies taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Virginia Tech comes into this game, guys, 3-0 on the season, fresh off a 58-52 win there over Winthrop. So, not the most impressive win, but they are 3-0 on the season. They haven't played a tough schedule, but they are knocking off win after win, taking care of business against teams they're supposed to take care of business against. So, in kind of a dogfight there against Winthrop, guys, we saw the Hokies come out. They shot 27.6% from three-point range. Definitely a number they are capable of improving. They dominated on the boards, which is what you're supposed to do in these matchups, and honestly, that's probably why they won this game, guys. Jaden Shutt had a decent game, 17 points there. He was 5 of 10 from three-point range. 5 out of their 8 threes came from him. So they're going to need some other guys to step up and knock down some shots. They did a good job of defending the three-point line there against Winthrop, limiting them to 5 of 32 from deep, and just generally speaking, a pretty good game there from a Virginia Tech team that I would say is slightly, overshooting their projections. They were picked to finish around 90th nationally and picked around 14th there in the ACC. So not a team that's getting a ton of respect coming into the season, but they've been taking care of business, albeit against some fairly weak competition. So we'll see what they can do here, taking on the Penn State Nittany Lions, who are also 3-0 on the season. They similarly have played a very weak schedule, guys. Their last win was over SFPA. Yeah, guys, that is St. Francis, PA. So we'll see if they can, build on that. They've really been demolishing opponents out there, but what can we really take from them playing these terrible teams? It's a little bit hard to tell. They put up back-to-back 100-point games to start their season, so it's a team that can definitely score the rock a little bit, but when you're scoring against these terrible, terrible teams, there's not a lot you can take from it, guys. I mean, congratulations. You're averaging 101 points per game. You're 5th in the nation. Great. We'll see if that can continue here as they take on a real opponent. Penn State projected around 60th nationally, picked to finish 14th there in the Big Ten. I think that's a little bit harsh. I mean, 14th in the Big Ten would put them below a lot of teams that I think they at least have a chance against, but the Big Ten, guys, is loaded. So we'll see what happens here for Penn State. They're 5.5-point favorites in this game. We've got an over-under of 149.5. Virginia Tech, 1-2 against the spread this season. Penn State, 2-1 against the spread with those huge offensive numbers. Not too shocked to see that. Guys, I think this is another spot you might want to lean a little bit towards that over of 149.5, but I do think we want to lean slightly here towards Penn State as well at -5.5. Probably neither one of these plays are ending up in the pinned comment, guys. I mean, I know that seems a little bit weird to include it and not include, have this end up in the pinned comment, but breaking this one down, it just seems like a little bit much to ask, either one of these teams that have just been playing against terrible competition to come out and have a great game against, a real opponent here. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. Slight lean towards Penn State in this one and a slight lean towards that over. Continuing on here, guys, we have the number 15 Marquette Golden Eagles. They're going on the road to take on the Maryland Terrapins. Marquette comes in this game 3-0 on the season. They have been cruising. They've got some decent wins out there. I mean, nothing that I'm really going to freak out about. I mean, yeah, a nice win there, a 70-62 win over Central Michigan. That was a little bit closer than I think Marquette would have liked. They were projected around 18th nationally. They're currently ranked 15th in the nation and picked to finish 4th there in the Big East. In that win over Central Michigan, guys, they shot the ball kind of mediocre from deep, a theme we're seeing from a lot of teams. They struggled aggressively on the boards. You can't get out rebounded 46-27. That's why this game was so close. So we'll see if they can improve that here a little bit, see if they can improve that shooting as well. They had 19 steals in the game. This Marquette team is going to be pretty scary there on defense. So we'll see what they can do going on the road here to play in a hostile environment against Maryland, who comes into this game 3-0 on the season, but when you look at the teams they faced, I know they blew them out, guys, but, a win against Manhattan, a win over MSM, a win over Florida A&M. I'm not really going to be freaking out about any of those wins, guys. And the Terrapins didn't get, I think they got some respect here, projected around 40th nationally, but picked to finish 11th there in the Big Ten. So we'll see what they can do in this game. I mean, in that win over Florida A&M, guys, there's not a ton we can take from these statistics, but they did struggle a little bit shooting the ball from deep. They got out-rebounded in the game. So, yeah, a couple of teams that really aren't looking that great on the boards to me. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, you see Maryland, they're favored by 1.5 here playing at home. We've got an over-under of 146.5. Marquette, 2-1 against the spread. Maryland, also 2-1 against the spread this season. Guys, I'm going to be leaning towards the Marquette Golden Eagles. They almost got caught in that look-ahead spot in their last game. I don't think we're going to see a similar performance to what they did against Central Michigan. I think this team is going to be locked in. They're going to rebound the ball a lot better. They're going to shoot the ball better, and they're going to keep playing that crazy defense. Definitely give me number 15 Marquette here playing on the road. They're getting a 1.5. I will take that 1.5 points, and I will smile about it. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we've got number 9 Arizona. They're going on the road to take on the Wisconsin Badgers here in a game that's going to be played there in Wisconsin. So yeah, it's definitely a real home game there for the Badgers. Arizona comes into this one. They've only played 2 games this season. They're both walkover wins, guys. They blew out Canisius, then they played against Old Dominion. They got a blowout win in that game as well. So yeah, they'll take those. Not a ton we can take from these stats, guys. I mean, Arizona obviously being able to clear the bench in both of these games very, very comfortably. They defended really well. They dominated on the board, something you would expect there from the Arizona Wildcats, but they're really facing their first real test today. I mean, Arizona projected to be pretty much a top 10 team nationally, picked to finish 5th there in the Big 12. That seems a little bit harsh, but we'll see what works out there for the Wildcats. Their opponent in this game, Wisconsin, they were not getting very much respect at all nationally, but they've gotten off to a good start to their season. A blowout win against Holy Cross, a good win there against Montana State, and then they blew out Appalachian State, guys, 87-56. So yeah, taking care of business, albeit against some pretty weak opponents, but got to give them some credit there, guys. In that win over Appalachian State, we saw good stuff there from Wisconsin. They shot the ball pretty well. I mean, I don't know, 47% from the field, only 8 of 28 from 3, but they dominated the boards. They very much limited turnovers, only 6 turnovers in the game. We saw 4 out of 5 starters score in double figures. This is a Badgers team that I think deserves a little bit more respect, but we're going to find out here as they take on their first real opponent. We see Wisconsin. They're getting 4.5 points here playing at home. We've got an over-under of 152.5. Arizona 1-1 against the spread. Wisconsin 2-1 against the spread. How are the Wildcats going to feel up there in the cold, guys? I'm still leaning just a little bit towards Arizona here, but I'm a little bit afraid. I mean, they got to win this game by 5, so by 2 possessions, and yeah, that just seems like a little bit hard, but I just don't have enough faith right now in this Wisconsin team. Their preseason projections do have me a little bit scared off. The big name guys out there, not very high on this Wisconsin team. So give me Arizona here as a slight lean, and in terms of that over-under of 152.5, I'm leaning just a little bit here towards the under. Wisconsin plays some defense at home, and I don't know if Arizona's going to have a great night there shooting in a hostile environment. So yeah, slight lean towards the under, slight lean towards Arizona, but this is a game that I'm more excited to watch than to actually bet on. Last but not least here, guys, we have a very exciting matchup between the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes. They're taking on number 23 Texas A&M in a game going on there at College Station, so a true home game there for the Aggies. Ohio State's played a legitimate schedule here. They got a 80-72 win there over Texas to start their season. So yeah, that was over then number 19 Texas, so very solid stuff there. Then a blowout win over Youngstown State, but we don't care about that one too much. We really care about that Hall of Fame Series game there in Las Vegas that they won against the Texas Longhorns, guys. The Buckeyes shot 50% from three-point range. This is a team that can definitely shoot it. I don't think they're going to shoot 50% over the season, but this is a very good offensive team. They've got, just great shooters coming off the bench as well. We saw the bench combined to score 33 points in the win. Bruce Thornton is a monster. He was 3 of 4 from 3 and scored 20 points there. And yeah, just a very, very good night. They did a great job on the boards, having a slight edge there in the rebounding department. They did turn the ball over 15 times. That's definitely a concern. It was their hot shooting that got them the win in this game. But man, when you can shoot it like that, you can shoot it like that. Like, this is definitely a team that I have, I think they're going to be a good shooting team. No doubt about that. So we'll see if that translates here as they take on another Texas opponent. This time it's not going to be in Vegas, though, guys. It is going to be their home game there for the Texas A&M Aggies, who have lost a game this season, guys. They fell 64-61 against UCF. They've knocked off a couple of cupcake games since then, but those aren't really the games we care about, guys. We are more focused in on that loss to UCF. Obviously, it was at UCF, so, kind of tough there, but Texas A&M they just couldn't make it happen. They won the rebounding battle, but they lost despite shooting 30% from three-point range. They only shot 36.5% from the field in general. The bench did not look great. The starters didn't look that great either. Only 2 starters scoring in double figures. Yeah, just not a great night there from Texas A&M. Obviously, they've got plenty of time to rest, regroup, and bounce back from that game, but that was a rough one, guys. So we'll see how much they can bounce back here in their next, game against a ranked opponent. We see Texas A&M, they were projected around 25th nationally, picked to finish 8th there in the SEC. Ohio State is 2-0 against the spread this season. Texas A&M 2-1 against the spread. And with the Aggies, they're favored by 4.5 points at home. Get an over-under of 146.5. This is another situation, guys. I like the over a decent amount. Over 146.5, I think seems very, very live to me in this game. I think we'll see plenty of points. I don't know how much defense we'll see in this game, but I also think you probably want to side here with the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think the Aggies are struggling here a little bit in the early goings. I think we could see this be a close game. I'm worried about them, being able to knock down the threes like they did. They are in for maybe, I'm not going to say they're in for a letdown, obviously, since that, that wasn't their last game, that game against Texas. Like they've played they played one other game since, and it looked good as well. But yeah, just a slight lean here towards Ohio State and a little bit of a lean towards the over. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.